Hi and welcome to another tutorial of LEANalyser version 2.4.3. Today we'll show you how to import data from an Excel file, from Excel files online, and how to automate the process so that your data gets updated automatically. Let's start by creating a new analytical database. Here I have an Excel file. Note that LEANalyser only supports the later Excel file format. As always, I drag and drop the data file to the data area. The data is actually the usual one we've used in our previous tutorials, data for customers and their orders. Let's first move back to load mode, where we can see that the file actually contains two sheets within the workbook, both the customers and their orders. Let's first create the customer table by selecting the sheet and naming it. LEANalyser has managed to recognize the field names as headers and also the footer rows in the end of the Excel file that we don't want to include in our data. These settings can be modified in the definition panel above. I then create a new table drag and drop the file again, name it, and select the second sheet to get the orders as follows. Let's say we want to find out the possibilities of developing certain markets. Then it would be interesting to know the number of clients on each market, each country, in relation to its total population. This kind of demographic data is publicly available and can, for instance, be found at the webpage of the UN. Scrolling down, we identify the Excel extension here with total populations per country. We can either download the file like this and import it in the same way as we did with the customer and order data, or we import it directly from the web. The advantage would be that we can automate the process then instead of manually downloading it each time. This is done by right-clicking the hyperlink, copying it, going back to LEANalyser, creating a new table, and pasting the URL. When we press enter, the data is loaded. We can conclude that this file has several sheets. Let's select the first one called Estimates. There is some descriptive information in the top of the document, but then we find the different fields. We have this recurrent field for years. If we scroll to the right, it ends with year 2020. Let's unpivot that to obtain a better structure of our data, one row of data for each year. Now we have one column per year and one for its population estimate. Moving over to prepare, we start by removing unnecessary fields . This one here, if we scroll down, lists the different countries, so let's just call it country. Remove these fields and rename this one to year. The value field is actually the population expressed in thousands. So now when we have our data ready in tables, let's connect them with a relation. I go to my customer table, press the country field and select to make a relation with the country field in the population table. If we want to automate the process of updating the data, let's just go to the reloading area here. Select every day, for instance, which means LEANalyser will check every day if data has been updated on the web page or not. If data gets available for the next year, it will automatically be included in the table. Let's look on that in detail. If we pivot our data again and scroll to the right, if a new column gets added here for 2021, let's say, the selection of columns will automatically include the new column as well. The unpivot function will operate on that column, and a new line will appear in the table with data for 2021. The automatic reload of data is done in the background, so even if it takes some time, you can continue to work with your analysis or data prep meanwhile. If an error occurs on the server or the web page can't be found, the actual data is kept in the table so that you can continue to work and no data will be lost. Now we're ready to make our analysis. We choose a pivot analysis so that we can aggregate the data for the different countries. Let's select the main table to be the customer table. Set the category to countries. And then the measures to be the first number of unique customers using the field with their ID. And then we can add another measure, the population field from our link population table, and let's set it to be separated by thousands. We see that Sweden has about 10 million, so it looks correct. And now let's add a formula to calculate the market share in percent. We set the label and add our formula. Let's not show these values and add cell bars to the market share to make it easier to compare. If you want to keep the analysis for further use, maybe to study the market shares for next year, we just install our analysis as a template like this. So, today we've seen how to import data from Excel files into LEANalyser. Thank you for listening.